Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, if you're new, right? If you're new, make sure to subscribe. We're going to be covering Zebec very, very often because it is a coin that we love. And also, the community, you guys are amazing. You guys actually are amazing. You support these videos so much. So, you know what? I got to give what the people want, and that's a Zebec update. I can be doing them every single day. But just a disclaimer, right? The more frequent the videos are, the less is going to change. Remember, I'm mainly a technical analysis channel. I do still cover the news, but you have to remember that if I literally covered it every 24 hours, there's only going to be 24 hours of new data. But look, the positive is that it does bring a consistent peace of mind to you guys. So make your choice, right? Make your choice. Leave it in the comments. Do you want daily? Do you want it like 5 times a week? Do you want it 3 times a week? Let me know. Anyways, let's cover this beautiful, beautiful coin. Now, over the last couple of weeks, right? If we go back just for a second, we know we had this huge rally, right? Practically, let's just say middle to late May, we had this huge rally. From this point onwards, it went up 255%, 260%. So 3.6 times your money if you got in right before the actual rally. And of course, if you got in earlier before, you could have made even more. Then, of course, we were selling off. We did go sideways here and there a little bit, but we were mainly selling off, right? We're selling off and we were looking for some type of lifeline. And we found it, right? We found it around the 0.0025 area, which we actually called out in the private community, right? We called the reversal. I said, I'm buying it in, buying around this area. And boom, I mean, we are sitting very, very nicely up around 62%. And we can see, right away, what I see on this chart, I see multiple things. I see a big support and resistance kind of around here. And I see another critical area kind of around the 0.0034. Okay. Now, here's the deal, people. I am overall bullish on this coin, but sometimes, especially if we do daily updates, I will say the coin is going to retrace. Why? Well, because I'm here to tell you the truth and what I see. And if something suggests, hey, we're going to sell off like 10, 15, 20%, I'm going to mention that, all right? I'm going to mention that. But look, overall, I am bullish on this project. I know some people have been calling it a scam, some people call it this, some people call it that. Overall, that is just noise. That is just irrelevant noise. We know recently they had a huge partnership, and I expect them to continuously get big partnerships. Anyways, right? We can see, right, we had a recovery. We had a recovery of from 0.0025 to roughly 0.0035. We did have this big spike that touched this big, massive resistance, right? Which is an important thing to note because then, ladies and gentlemen, we're kind of moving sideways and then we sold off, right? We expected a we expected a high possibility of entering this literal order block. We were off by 2%. I mean, it happens sometimes, right? It happens like literally all it had to do was just go down 2 more%, but that's okay. That is part of the sniper life where sometimes you just don't get the shot you want. So 3%, right? But look, right? We saw the possibilities of it starting to reverse, especially when we saw this change of momentum. We're like, oh yeah, this is good. This is really, really good. We also did say last week, literally mid last week, that if this weekly candle closes like this or even a bit lower, that this current week was going to pump. We could watch back the videos. We literally said that in advance before we got the confirmation that this week was going to pump. And that is exactly what happened, right? We closed as a higher low over here. Oops, there go my rectangle box. Boom, we closed as a higher low compared to this low over here. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We pumped a good amount. Now, we didn't sustain all of it, right? We did get rejected a little bit, but that's okay. But we did pump 41% this week, which is not bad at all, considering that we're in the recovery and the building stage. So we see on Monday, we had a huge candle. Tuesday, we were looking to hold this big resistance. And then now we're starting to kind of fall right underneath, and we're kind of just in the middle. Now, I personally believe we're going to get something very similar to last week, just in reverse. I believe that we're going to close very, very strong. And at the beginning of next week, we're actually most likely, in my opinion, going to sell off on the Sunday, Monday to retest over here to then recover and go higher. That is what I personally think. Because as of right now, nothing really suggests that we are going to be in a bearish trend, right? But I do think, kind of like the way we have it over here, right? Boom over here, boom over here. I do think we are going to form some type of higher low, like somewhere over here, right? Just key higher low points. That's what I think. Okay. And in terms of this area, it would make sense right on top of a nice support. It would make a lot of sense. So I do think that is going to most likely be the play where we end this week, kind of like the way we do. Sunday, Monday, we sell off a little bit, but then we just actually go higher. Okay. Look, people, right? Boom, we do have a weekly order block right over here, right? So some type of pullback into this area. Even if we don't necessarily pump too much next week, we'll get a very similar candle to this, right? Kind of where, we kind of get a rejection and then the week after we'll pump. So there's two scenarios, right? But overall, I do expect to go back one more time into the zone at the bare minimum. So it's either we go into the zone and then we kind of just for the rest of the week go up, or we go into the zone and then the rest of the week we kind of linger. And then next week is when we just strike kind of the way we did this week on Monday. So 1 week this way or that way shouldn't make too much of a difference. But ultimately, we are bullish, right? We are bullish. We can see once again, right? Low, higher low, most likely somewhere here, higher low. You have a high, higher high, and then we're going to get another higher high, right? Staircase. Beautiful, beautiful staircase. And look, this is very important. Very, very important. We do have this big zone over here. We overclaim this big zone. All of a sudden, we are kind of forming a reverse head and shoulders on a bigger time frame. Okay, and that is the reality. We take this brush, we'll have this over here. We'll have this very nice big deformed head, and eventually this will kind of be some type of shoulder where we will just be recovering and looking to be going back into this order block over here. Okay. We most likely will have some type of sell off here when the time does come off because it is a institutional candle. So we could probably have a decent sell off of even like 30%, but then we will find a new floor. We will stabilize and then we are going to continue with our beloved rally. I know a lot of you guys want to just see huge pumps like the way we did. But you have to realize, and I'm going to put something in context, right? This whole thing, Zebec, was going sideways, right? It was going sideways for almost a year before it had that huge pump. Now, the market conditions are going to be a little bit different. They're going to be a little bit faster because altcoin season is super close. There's going to be more money pumped in, and partnerships will rise with Zebec. So if we do get another pump, I don't expect it to be, upwards of a year, 9 months, or 6 months sideways, but it could be a couple more weeks, right? It could be a couple more weeks where we really get a huge rally. So just be patient, right? Just know we are closer to the finish line than we are the middle line, and most definitely we are closer to the finish line than we are the start in terms of this whole altcoin season, in terms of Zbec's success, right? You know me, I believe this coin will be hitting at the bare minimum, mm, roughly 30x, 25 to 30x. So for me, that's fantastic, right? And I could do some extra deep research, double check some stuff, and we could do a hypothetical with an XRP partnership. We could do a maximum ZBEC price prediction for the next video if that's what you guys would like, because I do think there is a world where we actually do go much higher, but certain stars do have to line up. But yeah, that is ultimately it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.